1985, 1986, 1987, 1988, 1989, page 1990, 1991, 1992, 1993, 1994, 1995, 1996, 1997, 1998, 1999, page 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, page 2010, page 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019, page 2020, page 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, page 2030, page 2031, 2032, 2033, 2034, 2035, 2036, 2037, 2038, 2039, page 2040, page 2041, 2042, 2043, 2044, 2045, 2046, 2047, 2048, 2049, page 2050. Distinguished Senator Frank Ibizim.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Senator Frank Ibizim, representing the good people of Imo North Senatorial District. I rise to move for the adoption of the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 14 December 2021. I so move.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator Kola Balogun.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Kola Balogun. I represent Oyo South Senatorial District. I'm from Oyo State. I rise to second the motion that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 14th December 2021 be approved. I so second.
Thank you. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 14th December 2021 be approved, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. The votes and proceedings of Tuesday, 14th December 2021 is hereby approved. Today, 15th December 2021, today 15th December 2021 is the birthday of distinguished Senator Emmanuel Boacha, the Senate Deputy Minority Leader representing Taraba South. On behalf of all of us in the Senate, I wish our distinguished colleague a happy birthday, long life, prosperity, and many more years of service to our fatherland. Congratulations and happy birthday. Petitions. Distinguished Senator Patrick Ayo Akinelure.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, my name remains Senator Ayo Akinelure, representing Ondo Central. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, presentation of petition not late but referred to the Committee on Ethics from the Office of the President of the Senate. The Senate Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions, in line with Order 41.1 and 3, which is to present to the Senate some petitions yet to be laid from the Office of the President of the Senate in order to officially place the petition in the public domain through the floor of the Senate and for the votes and proceedings to capture the approval for referral. Distinguished colleagues, please find below a summary of petitions received from the Office of the President of the Senate. 1. Irene Otin, own Boss Magazine, against Assistant Commissioner of Police Grace Longe. Subject matter of the petition: petition against the Assistant Commissioner of Police on professional misconduct for auctioning and conversion of my Toyota Corolla car 1.8 GLI to ourselves since 2015. 2. Ibrahim Mohammed Awad and 14 others against the state coordinator of the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Sani Abubakar Daladi, complaints of petition of diversion, unscrupulous, fraudulent and sharp practices against Sani Abubakar Daladi, the state coordinator of Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Taraba State and others. A call for urgent interventions of investigation and proper auditing of the activities of the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria, Taraba State Branch from November 2020 to date. Number 3 was Siri George against Dr. Ahmed Isa and the Berekete Family Taxi Association. Letter of appeal against Berekete Family Tax Association. Number 4, Elder Honorable Ikeodem Eko and 3 others on behalf of Joint Committee of Mapolo Nito Ibeno and Ulok People's Assembly, Akure State Government and State House of Assembly. Joint petition against the resolution of Akure State House of Assembly passed on 14 September 2021 to remap Akure State and its consequences on the people and lands of Ibeno local government area in Akure State. And finally, Mr. President, Zainab Shehu against Major General Sani Mohammed and Alhaji Anas Mohammed. Petition against the attitude of Major General Sani Mohammed, formerly of Zaria Training School, but now at the Nigerian Army Defense Headquarters, Abuja, and Alhaji Anas Mohammed, his brother, for trespass, abuse of office, and total disregard of court orders. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to the best of my knowledge, none of the above petition is seeking judicial remedy. I therefore move, Mr. President, to seek the indulgence of the Senate to lay the petition before the Senate for official referral to the committee for further legislative action. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, distinguished chairman. Is any of the petitioners seeking any judicial remedy? Okay, you may lay the petitions, please. petitions are referred to the Committee on Ethics, Privileges and Public Petitions to report back within 4 weeks. Any more petitions? Any more petitions? Point of order, Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari.
Mr. President, I want to come under 4252. With your kind permission, Mr. President, may I read?
You may proceed, please. Which point of order? No, that's not our agreement. Yes. Yes, that's what we agreed. All right, thank you.
May I?
Yeah, you may proceed, please.
By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, the Senator may make a personal explanation, although there may be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward or may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make is sought.
You may proceed, Senator Buhari.
Distinguished colleague, my name is Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari. I come under 43 to discuss the demise of His Imperial Majesty Aleliyu Oba Oladunni Oyewumi Ajagungbade, CON CFR, the Shoun of Ogbomoso land. Mr. President, the Senate note with grief the death of His Imperial Majesty Aleliyu Oba Oladunni Oyewumi Ajagungbade, the Shoun of Ogbomoso land, who joined his ancestor on Sunday, 12 December 2021 at the age of 95. Mr. President, the Senate notes that he ascended the throne of his father on October 24, 1993 and reigned for 48 glorious years, being the 20th and longest reigning Shoun in the history of Ogbomoso land. Recall that he was born on the Gbagun royal family of Shoun Ogbomoso land. Oba Bello Afolabi Oyewumi Ajagungbade and Ayaba Saliat Oladunni Oyewumi in Ogbomoso on 27th May 1926. The Senate aware that his great-grandfather, and father Oba Oluwusi Aremu, the 5th Shoun of Ogbomoso land, reigned from 1826 to 1840. Oba Ajagungbade I reigned, the 10th Shoun of Ogbomoso, reigned from 1869 to 1871. And Oba Afolabi Oyewumi Ajagungbade, 15th Shoun, reigned from 1916 to 1940. Imperial Majesty Oba Oyewumi had his elementary school at St. Papu Institute, Akure, Ogbomoso, which was later changed to Ogbomoso Grammar School. Recognized that at his early age, after acquiring elementary and basic education, he proceeded to the city of Ilesha, the present-day Osun State, where he learned to weave from one of his uncles in the weaving business. The Senate recalled that he proceeded to Jos, Plateau State in 1944 to live with relatives of his mother, continue his trading in local wares as he extended his venture to Lagos to buy merchandise for sale and also secure a major dealership from the French company CFAO in 1954 for importation of goods from Europe. Senate aware that His Imperial Majesty Ajagungbade made fortune from the textile business and a chain of other business initiative as G.O. Oyewumi & Co. Limited in 1967, which specialized in real estate, hospitality, Royal Crown Hotel, Terminus Hotel, branches in Ogbomoso, Osogbo and Jos, wholesale and retail trading. Mr. President, the Senate recalled that Oba Oyewumi ascended the throne of his ancestor in 1973 after he was nominated by the Gbagun ruling house to the government of the old Western State Upon his coronation, with the support of his son, the son and daughter of Ogbomoso, he built a modern palace befitting the status of a first-class monarch. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the Senate aware also that his contribution to his domain, Oyo State and Nigeria in general, are countless, including creation of Ogbomoso, additional 4 local government in Ogbomoso area, NTA, industry, police station, school, including Ladoke Akintola University of Technology and Federal Polytechnic Ayede, Federal Government College and Technical College in Ogbomoso area. The Senate recalled that Oba Oyewumi served in various capacities, both in the state and national level, as a member of leaders of thought and traditional rulers, members of government arch-delegation, and member of National Council of Traditional Rulers. Recall also that he was the pioneer chancellor of Plateau State University, Bokos, Plateau and present chancellor, and also recipients of Commander of the Order of the Niger and Commander of Federal Republic of Nigeria, CFR. Recognize that his reign has brought robust development to Ogbomoso and environment, which is obvious with the fast-growing population and commercial activity in the ancient town. Aware that he was an outstanding monarch and genuine leader with a great passion for growth and development of Ogbomoso, Oyo State and Nigeria in general. Senate acknowledged that he is survived by wives, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. Senate further aware that his demise of his Imperial Majesty Oba Oladuni Oyewumi Ajagungbade, the Shoun of Ogbomoso, is not only colossal loss to his family, but also to the good people of Ogbomoso, Oyo State, and the nation. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, the Senate accordingly resolved that a minute's silence should be honored for the Royal Highness. And secondly, urge the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to send a delegate to visit and condole with good people of Oyo State and the family in Ogbomoso. Urge the federal government of Nigeria to immortalize the great man. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator Abdul Fattah Buhari, for that presentation, formally informing the Senate. And because you have come under our standing order for 3, which is personal explanation, what you have presented is not open to debate, and therefore we can take the prayer of observing 1 minute silence. Distinguished colleagues, let's observe a minute silence in honor of the late Oba. May the soul of His Royal Highness, Royal Majesty, our beloved Oba rest in perfect peace. Amen. Point of order, Senator Ogbomoso.
Thank you, Mr. President. Ibikunle Amosun, I represent Ogun Central. Mr. President, I want to come under Order 43, and with your kind permission,
You may proceed, distinguished.
by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make his leave to make it his sought. Mr. President, I've actually submitted this to you. It's about our KBC. It's just a similar thing that happened in Ogbomoso, happened to us in the Owu Kingdom. our Kabiyesi joined his ancestor. So, Mr. President, with your kind permission, can I proceed?
You may proceed, please.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, please permit me to present this before the Senate that the Olowo of Owu, Oba Dr. Olusanya Adegboyega Dosunmu, Kongwere Amororo II, has joined his ancestors. That this distinguished Senate notes with grief that Kabiyesi Oba Dr. Olusanya Adegboyega Dosunmu, Amororo II, the Olowo of Owu, joined his ancestor on Sunday, 12th December 2021. Further notes that Oba Adegboyega Dosunmu was the 13th Olowo of Owu Abeokuta, and he ascended the throne of his forefathers in July 2005. Aware that the Olowo of Owu was born to the royal family of Oba Adesumbo Dosunmu, Amororo I, who reigned between 1918 and 1924. His father, Prince Benjamin Okelano Dosunmu, was the third son of Oba Adesumbo Dosunmu, Amororo I. Further aware that Oba Olusanya Adegboyega Dosunmu had his primary school education at Owu Baptist Day School, Abeokuta, from 1941. He then proceeded to the Baptist Boys High School, Abeokuta, for his secondary education in 1950. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, he also enrolled at King's College, Lagos in 1956 for evening classes where he obtained his advanced legal certificate. That this distinguished Senate observed that His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Olusanya Adegboyega Dosunmu had varied working experience that spanned public service and private entrepreneurship. He enrolled for a course in drama and television production with specialization in television and film production at Hendon College of Technology in London. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that this distinguished Senate further observes that Oba Dosunmu, after graduating from Hendon College, worked with Demise and directed 2 plays at Hampstead Theatre, London. However, in 1967, he was recruited from England into the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation by Dr. Christopher Kolade, former Nigerian High Commissioner to London, to establish drama, art and cultural production for television in Nigeria. Convinced that Prince Olusanya Adegboyega Dosunmu was the brain behind Nigeria's most celebrated and popular television drama series, The Village Headmaster, the longest running popular TV series, which ran for over 20 years. This made the late Olowu to become a household name in television drama in Nigeria. That this distinguished Senate notes that in 1975, he left NBC TV to start his own private production outfit, Starline Films Limited. Among his various famous works as an independent producer was a feature film titled Dinner with the Devil. The film was the first feature that was entirely Nigerian produced from script to screen. He also directed the official film of Festac 77 and many other documentary and business films. That this distinguished Senate further notes that beyond drama production, Oba Dosunmu was an evangelist and preacher. He had theological training in the United States of America and did missionary work in various capacities. He was a missionary and field director of an international ministry, Source of Life Ministry, based in Madison, Georgia, USA. That this distinguished Senate records that Oba Olusanya Adegboyega Dosunmu later veered into politics like a colossus, and in 1976 he became the chairman of Abeokuta local government, now Abeokuta North and South local government. His tenure witnessed rapid development with the provision of basic amenities and social infrastructures in Abeokuta Township. That this distinguished Senate, aware that prior to his coronation as the Olowo of Owu, he was installed as the Omofade of Owu in 1968 by Oba Salami Gbadela Ajibola, Omoluberin of Owu in 1975 by Oba Adebowale Oyegbade, and also became the president of the Council of Owu title princes and princesses during the tenure of his predecessor, Oba Dr. Lawale Adisadeleye. He was also conferred with the prestigious national honor of Commander of the Order of Niger by President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua, GCFR. That this distinguished Senate convinced that His Royal Majesty Oba Olusonya Adegboyega Dosunmu Amororo II served selflessly, diligently, and was committed to the all-round development of Owu Land, Ogun State, and Nigeria. That finally, this distinguished notes that I am from that royal ruling house, Amororo, where Kabiyesi come from, and that this distinguished need do accordingly resolve to observe a 1-minute silence in his honor, to send a condolence message to the Dosunmu royal family, the Owu Traditional Council of Chiefs, and the government and people of Ogun State, and finally to urge the federal government to immortalize him. I so move, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Because you have come under our standing order for 3, like the previous case, we'll observe a minute silence in honor of the late Olowu of Owu Abekuta. So we, distinguished colleagues, we observe a minute silence, please. May the soul of late Olowu of Owu Abekuta, His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Olusonya Adegboyega Dosunmu Amororo II rest in perfect peace. Amen. Point of order, Senator Ali Sabi Abdullahi.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I'm Ali Sabi Abdullahi. I represent Niger North Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to come under Order 43, personal explanation. With your permission, I will read.
Sorry. Which order is that?
Order 43.
Okay, you may go ahead.
Order 43. By the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation. Although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in details to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, I'm coming here with the demise of the one-time Chief of Army Staff, General Wushishi, who passed on just recently.
You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, this personal explanation is a solemn one on the demise of one of Nigeria's brightest, courageous, and gallant soldiers, in person of General Mohammed Inuwa Wushishi, who was Nigeria's Chief of Army Staff between October 1981 to December 1983. According to a family source, General Wushishi died at a London hospital on 4th of December 2021 and has been buried according to Islamic rites in Kaduna. Mr. President, the late General Mohammed Inuwa Wushishi was born on January 1, 1940 and hails from Wushishi in Wushishi local government area of Niger North Senatorial District in Niger State. He attended Wushishi Junior Primary School between 1947 to 1950, Paiko Junior Primary School 1951 to 1952, Mina Senior Primary School 1953 to 1954, and Bidda Provincial Secondary School 1955 to 1960. The late general began his career when he was enlisted into the Nigerian Army and attended the Mons Officer Cadet School, Aldershot, United Kingdom, from 1961 to 1962, Nigerian Military College, Military Training College, 1963, Staff College, Kimberley, United Kingdom, 1972, U.S. Army War College, 1978 to 1979, Nigerian Army, 1961, and the Regular Officer Course, 1962. He was enlisted as a second lieutenant in 1961, became a platoon commander in 1962 to 64, battalion adjutant 1964 to 1966, company commander between March to August 1966, battalion commander between 1967 to 1968, brigade major between February to May in 1968, brigade commander May to August 1968, divisional adjutant general 1968 to 1969. He became a sector commander in 1969 to 1971, deputy commander School of Infantry 1972-1975. He was federal commissioner for industries between 1975 to 1976. He became general officer commanding 4 infantry division Nigerian Army 1976. He became also commandant Staff College, Jaji, lieutenant general, and retired from the Nigerian Army after his service in 1983. He had some honors. He was commander of the Order of the Federal Republic in 1981, Grand Commander of the Order of the Niger in 1987. He had a Republic Medal, Nigerian Crisis Medal, Defense Service Medal, National Service Medal, UN Medal for Service in the Congo in 1966. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, he died as a very good statesman, one who we all know had contributed his great quota in providing stability for Nigeria. He was a soldier and a very, very, beloved community leader. He is survived by his family, wife, children, grandchildren. Mr. President, I want to urge that we give a minute silence to this very distinguished Nigerian statesman. I so move.
Thank you very much, distinguished colleagues. Because you have come under standing order for 3 personal explanation, this is not open and subject to debate. So we observe a minute silence in his honor. May the soul of late General Muhammad Ino Wushishi rest in perfect peace. Amen. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first business of the day is the presentation of a House Bill sending my name on the Institute of Mortgage Brokers and Lenders of Nigeria Bill 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators. Mr. President, distinguished senators, Institute of Mortgage Brokers and Lenders of Nigeria Bill 2021 HB 88 first reading.
Institute of Mortgage Brokers and Lenders of Nigeria Bill 2021, HB 88, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Federal College of Education Technical, Yauri, Kebbi State Establishment Bill 2021. Mr. President, may we to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal College of Education Technical, Yauri, Kebbi State Establishment Bill 2021, HB 629, first reading.
Federal College of Education Technical, Yauri, Kebbi State Establishment Bill 2021, HB 629, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Stella Adaeze Odua on the marital rights of spouses Bill 2021. Mr. President, may we invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Marital Rights and Spouses Bill 2021, LB 69, first reading.
Marital Rights of Spouses Bill 2021, SB 69, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ezenwa Francis Onyewuchi on the National University Commission Act, N81, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004 Amendment Bill 2021. Mr. President, may we invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National University Commissions Act, CAF N81 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021, SB 879, first reading.
National University Commission Act, CAP N81 LFN 2004 Amendment Bill 2021, SB 879, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of distinguished Senator Ogbomoso on the Patent and Design Act, CAP P2, Laws of the Federation of Nigeria 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021. Mr. President, may we invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Patent and Design Act, CAP P2, LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021, SB 880, first reading.
Patent and Design Act, CAP P2 LFN 2004, Repeal and Reenactment Bill 2021, SB 880, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the first order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as National Commissioners and Resident Electoral Commissioner for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, in accordance with paragraph 14 of Part 1 and the third schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria 1999 as amended. They are as follows. 1. Madam Muhammad Haruna from Niger State, North Central Zone, National Commissioner. Number 2, Mrs. May Ogbomoso from Delta State, Zone, South Zone, National Commissioner. Number 3, Ikegu Kenneth Nnamdi, Abia, Southeast, National Commissioner. 4, Major General A.B. Alkali, retired, Adamawa Northeast, Commissioner. 5, Professor Engineer Rhoda M. Gumus, Bayelsa, South, National Commissioner. Number 6, Mr. Sam Oyeme Kuno, Ndo, Southwest, National Commissioner. And 7, Olani Olale Ijale, Ondo, Southwest, President Electoral Commissioner. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of the President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of the President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to second the motion that Mr. President's request be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so second.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President CNC on the confirmation of the nominations of the persons mentioned for appointment as National Commissioners and Resident Electoral Commissioner for Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President CNC is hereby referred to the Committee on INEC for further legislative action to report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the second order of the day is a motion requesting the Senate to consider the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief for the confirmation of the nomination of the following persons for appointment as commissioners for the National Population Commission, NPC, in accordance with the provision of Section 154 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended. They are as follows. 1. Engineer Benedict Opong, Akure Ibom, Commissioner. 2. Mrs. Gloria Izonfo, MNI, Bayelsa, Commissioner. 3. Barrister Mrs. Patricia O. Nyanya, Kupchi, Benue, Commissioner. 4. Dr. Bala Haluru, Kevi, Commissioner. 5. Dr. Itayo Oyetunji, Oyo, Commissioner. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, the purpose of this motion on the order paper is for the request of the President Commander-in-Chief to be referred to the relevant committee for further legislative action. I therefore move that the request of Mr. President Commander-in-Chief be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so move.
Minority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to move the motion that the request of Mr. President CNC be referred to the appropriate committee for further legislative action. I so second.
Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do consider the request of Mr. President CNC on the confirmation of the nominations of the persons mentioned above for appointment, for appointment as commissioners for National Population Commission, NPC, in accordance with the provisions of Section 154 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The request of Mr. President is hereby referred to the Committee on National Population and National Identity Card for Committee on National Population and National Identity Card for further legislative action and report back within 2 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the third order of the day, the second reading of the National Assembly Budget and Research Office Establishment Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Wednesday, 17th November 2021. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Sadiq Suleiman Umar, Kwara North.
Thank you, Mr. President. My distinguished colleagues, I am Sadiq Suleiman Umar. I represent the good and decent people of Kwara North, and we all are. Mr. President, permit me to lead the debate on the National Assembly Budget and Research Office 2021 SB 853. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead this debate on a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of National Assembly Budget and Research Office, NABRO. The bill was read for the first time in this hallowed chamber on Wednesday, 17th November 2021. The National Assembly Budget and Research Office is an initiative of the National Legislature to support its work in its engagements with the executive institutions. The objects of the university, among others, include to provide National Assembly with objective, timely, and non-partisan analysis, information, and estimates needed for economy and budget decisions. To provide independent, unbiased, and non-partisan analysis of the executive arms of government's annual budget estimates. To provide independent and continuous review and monitoring of existing and proposed programs and budgets of the federal government. To provide analysis of the economic implication of the federal budget on the private sector and the budgetary and financial implication of any proposed legislation when so required by any committee of the National Assembly. To keep proper track of bills passed by the National Assembly to determine whether the tax and expenditure goals set the National Assembly, particularly with information that shall assist committees in the discharge of their functions with respect to budget and all bills providing new budget authority. To prepare and present to the National Assembly periodic forecast of economic trends and alternative fiscal policies with regards to federal government's money bills brought before the National Assembly in a financial year, and to provide the National Assembly with cost estimates, including inflationary impact of proposed legislation. Mr. President, distinguished colleague, as it stands, there is no organic law that gives power to any office to independently provide assistance to National Assembly in relation to budgetary and financial matters. The National Assembly currently operates in a manner which legislation is made and decisions are taken without relevant consideration of their financial and economic impacts. The only semblance of recognition of security, scrutiny, and or analysis of budget of the National Assembly or federal government is the Appropriation Committee of the National Assembly, consisting of members of the National Assembly, thereby depriving it of the quality of technical subject. The lack of an independent budgetary office specifically established to offer professional input to legislative budget process, therefore leading to lack of expertise and loss of the benefits that will be gained from proper review and analysis of the budget proposals. The proposed National Assembly Budget Office will report annually to the Senate and House of Representatives all items funded in the preceding financial year for which no appropriation was made by National Assembly, and all items contained in the Appropriation Act in the preceding financial year, but which were not funded by federal government. In line with Order 77.3, the compendium of financial implication is hereby attached. It is in view of this and many more valid points that cannot be exhausted in this short debate that I urge you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, to please support this bill and recommend its accelerated passage. Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues.
I need someone to say something. Okay, Senator Mohamed Sani Musa.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Mohamed Sani Musa, representing Niger East. I stand to support this bill for the establishment of National Assembly Budget and Research Office. It is very important that this office functions, because if you look at other democracies, other parliaments, you will see that they have a budget and research office, and they do most of the work. When the appropriation is tabled, you see that the office is engaged, and most of the things that we face today will be limited. And the functions of National Assembly everywhere is not just to sit down and adopt budget that has been tabled. We are supposed to research and see where necessary. Our budgets today, you will see a parastatal or an MDA bringing computers. Every year you buy computers. I don't know the depreciation or the wear and tear that components like that will have, that every year needs to be changed. So with research office, they will liaise with the budget office, with the MDAs and the various committees of the Senate to assist them in making sure that our budgets are done in the right way. So I wholeheartedly support this bill, and I plead to my colleagues to also give their support for this bill to stay through.
No, thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, this is an office that already exists. Because I recall in 2000, that's about 22 years or so ago, the then House of Reps introduced the bill seeking to establish NABRO. And there was one member from the State of Excellence, Lagos State, by name Honorable Habib Fashiro, who was given that responsibility to deal with that bill. I'm aware that that office established by the National Assembly, but there is no law backing it. And this effort by Senator Sadiq Umar Suleiman is to provide the legal framework, the legal backing necessary for that institution to have the legitimacy that is necessary. I'm also aware that that office hardly does anything. Not because the people there are not competent enough, but because they have not been enabled enough. I think it behoves the National Assembly to make funds available for institutions that will make its activities more effective and efficient. Individually, we have been given 5 legislative aids. The kind of funds available to us will not give us the kind of consultants that will ordinarily need as parliamentarians. So that NABRO office is supposed to house experts in different fields who will be giving us the best analysis on any issue of significance in national development that the Parliament is supposed to consider. I believe that we need to energize that office and maybe look for more competent hands to help it perform the functions it is meant to do. So with this, I'll put the question. Those in favor that this bill be now read the second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Assembly Budget and Research Office and for other matters connected therewith, 2021, SB 853, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the National Assembly Budget and Research Office and for other matters connected there to 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Establishment and Public Service Matters to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fourth order of the day is the second reading of the Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill 2021. Distinguished senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this distinguished chamber on Tuesday, 26 November 2019. Mr. President, we wish to invite distinguished Senator Abiodun Olujimi to move the motion for the bill to be read the second time.
Distinguished Senator Abiodun Olujimi, Ekiti South.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues.
Mr. President, it's another special day today. A day for the 9th Senate to make a difference after such a long time. Mr. President, distinguished and respected colleagues, it is with gratitude and humility that I rise to present the lead debate on this most crucial bill, which, when passed, will have a great positive impact on the growth of our great country. Mr. President, the bill is known by its short title, the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill 2021. This bill seeks to further implement Section 42 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, and other matters connected therewith. It also seeks to provide certain provisions on the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, CEDAW, and the Protocol to the African Charter and Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa and other matters connected therewith. This bill was read for the first time on this floor on Tuesday, the 26th of November 2019. The bill will provide a legal basis and foundation for realization of the goal of Section 42 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. Similarly, it will allow for the domestication of the Convention for the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, as well as the Protocol for the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa. This bill will provide a legal basis and foundation upon which there will be formal, structured, and institutional responses to prevent discrimination and provide for the rights of men and women, the equality of all persons, and opportunities available to all citizens, including people living with disability in Nigeria. The bill, when enacted, will provide for the prohibition of discrimination against both women and people living with disability, while also ensuring the equality of opportunities of every person. The bill shall ensure the full development and advancement of all persons for the purpose of guaranteeing them the exercise and enjoyment of human rights and fundamental freedoms, reinforcing Nigeria's constitutional legal framework for non-discrimination of a person as a right for its people. The bill will support agencies and stakeholders to recognize and respond to modification of socio-cultural practices, ensuring the rights of widowers are recognized and protected, while also providing guidance towards eliminating gender stereotypes, prejudices, and emphasizing the promotion of equality of all Nigerians to access opportunities that enhance their dignity and well-being. The bill, when enacted, will also encourage women to aspire and attain their full potentials, considering the fact that there are real and nuanced forms of discrimination against women, limiting their entry and growth in most formal spheres of work. The bill therefore seeks to avail equal opportunities of career choices, growth and promotion, job security, as well as equal treatment in work value, especially as it relates to women's rights to paid maternity leave. This bill, when enacted, will assist in dislodging some of the barriers to women's equal access to all forms of financial credit, technical assistance, family benefits, and other aspects of cultural life. The bill will also consolidate government and community protection and zero tolerance for violence in any circumstance, while promoting peace and harmony in homes where all its members are guaranteed equal access and treatment against discrimination, particularly for the girl child to access education, women participating and contributing to governance and public life uninhibited by customary laws, all forms of sexual and gender-based violations as they seek to access education and decent life conditions. Mr. President, distinguished senators, you will find this bill beneficial for the clear and constructive ways the bill seeks to address several forms of issues bedeviling men and women in their constituencies in issues of land ownership, inheritance, education, employment, and rising tide of sexual and gender-based violence in private and public spaces of institutions of learning. The bill further consolidates Senate's courageous passage of the bill on sexual violence in higher institutions in Nigeria, assuring girls, women, and men protection from abuse and exploitation in our schools. The concerns and views related to text of the previous Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill have been largely addressed through deep sectoral consultations with faith and cultural institutions and leaders, youth, the media, and women groups across Nigeria. Let me say, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, that we have consulted far and wide before we brought it back for second reading. In fact, yesterday, I was opportune to be at the Sultan's outreach to all faith-based clerics on the bill, and they passed a vote of confidence on the bill. Responses and proposals harvested have been incorporated into the text of this new bill, Gender and Equal Opportunity Bill. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I am very grateful for the opportunity given to me to lead this debate on this bill. I want to believe that every distinguished senator wants progress, growth, stable and sustainable development for every Nigerian, especially the girl child, women, and for every Nigerian who will benefit when this bill is passed. Mr. President, the passage of this bill will also add another feather to the nest of the 9th Senate. Accordingly, I believe and pray that all distinguished senators will vigorously support this bill, along with my co-sponsors, to vote for the passage of the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Stella Odwa.
Thank you, Mr. President, dear colleagues. Mr. President, the last clause of Senator Lujimi's bill says that she believes that every distinguished senator here will support this bill. Indeed, I agree with that. There is no senator here, Mr. President, dear colleagues, that does not have a daughter, does not have a mother, and does not have a sister. Therefore, it's a given that every senator is in support of this very, very pivotal bill. Mr. President, if you take the simple analogy of our body holistically, and the statistics says that women constitute 60% of the total population, which means that half of our body, if you take that scenario, more than half of our body is what we are talking about. Who in their right sense would decide not to make use of that part of the body? I don't think it is possible. And so, Mr.
Have you finished?
So, Mr. President, dear colleagues, this bill is a very pivotal bill. It's a bill that is just commonsensical, that we will do what is right to ensure that Nigerian women are given equal opportunity, fairness, and equity to participate and to be part of the nation Mr. President, even the new normal dictates that women are giving fairness and equity in whatever it is that we do. And so I support this bill.
Senator Yusuf.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Yusuf Abubakar Yusuf. I represent Taraba Central. First of all, let me say this bill is well written. And I could remember in the 8th Assembly it was debated in this chamber. However, from an Islamic perspective, which is a socio-cultural practice of Muslims.
Distinguished, I can't hear you. Is your mic working?
I said, sir, this bill was debated in the 8th Assembly, and it has come back here again. I said, from a socio-cultural practice, like the last paragraph of page 1, as Muslims, socio-cultural practice is the practice of our religion. And therefore, this aspect of it, by equating opportunities, actually infringes with the provisions of the Quran, of which I am a Muslim, and also the Bible. So, for me, I will not support.
Please, distinguished colleagues, please, let's listen to our colleagues when they speak.
I will not support the passage of this unless until the word equal is removed. If we now have debate on the gender opportunities bill, fine. But when you bring equality into it, it infringes into the practice of Islamic religion. So that is where the conflict is. Because of this inconsistency, I will not support the passage of this bill for second reading. Thank you very much.
Senator Mako. Senator Ali Magatakada Mako.
Mr. President, I remain Aliyu Yam Wamako, Senator of North Central District of State. Mr. President, I stand to support fully the submission of the last speaker, Senator Yusuf Abubakar for Taraba, that the some provision of this bill competes with the faith in Islam. When it comes to the cultural part, which is part of religious part of our social aspect, and in the Internet, this bill was debated, but if the topic of equity was okay, but equality is no. Because you don't just meet in the broad daylight amend the value plan, change the value plan, which is our book of faith. So for that reason, I don't support the second reading of this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Idijan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I remain Senator Idijan, representing the very blessed people of Plateau North. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to fully support the reading and passage of this bill on second reading, the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill. And I want to say that our humanity endows us with rights and liberties which by law and international conventions are inalienable, irrespective of our race and our gender. History, however, is replete, Mr. President, with cases of denial and restriction of such rights and liberties to the extent that persons or groups that enjoy privileges and benefit of advantage ascribe to themselves powers to determine the liberties of others to the extent of subscribing such liberties. Women have been at the receiving end of being excluded or even suffer denial of rights and liberties. Distinguished colleagues, the struggle of all humans to enjoy inalienable rights have always emerged victorious over dominating forces over time. For me, women are not only entitled to equal opportunities, it's not equality but equal opportunities, but must be in fact and in practice. Moreover, being a woman is not being less human. Neither is femininity inferiority. I therefore want to canvass very strongly that we support the passage of this bill so that the rights, liberties, and opportunities will not just be for males, but for female, so that every woman, every lady, every mother, every daughter, and every sister will not only be entitled, but will actually enjoy these rights that are inalienable. I therefore urge my colleagues to support the passage of this very bill on second reading. I so canvass.
Senator Akure.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Senator Akure, representing Akure South Senatorial District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to join others to appreciate my sister for sponsoring this bill, Senator Lujimi, on gender and equal opportunity. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I want to say that this bill is very, very important. As we all know that God created us the same, both male and female. The issue of gender, when it has to do with opportunities, women are always pushed to the side. The use of the word equal to be removed, I don't think that gives a problem. If we want to look into the definition of the word equal, it's a person or thing that is the same as another in status or quality. If God created us equal, there is nothing wrong with the use of that word. And therefore, the objectives of this bill as stated, they are very apt and should be accepted by us. I want to urge my distinguished colleagues to please accept the passage of this bill into second reading.
The DSP.
Thank you, Mr. President. Obi Omo Agege, Delta Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, I'd like to begin by lending my voice in support of the passage of this bill for second reading. Mr. President, this is not the first time this bill is coming before us. I recall vividly, it also came before us in the 8th Senate. And some genuine issues were raised, concerns were raised by some of our colleagues based on cultural and religious sensibilities. And it died at that time, Mr. President. But I'm happy that Senator Lujimi has taken the pains to carry out detailed consultation with some of our leaders in this sector to try address some of the fears and concerns. But from the feelers I'm getting today in these chambers, it does appear that maybe that has not gone far enough. I want to plead, Mr. President, that this is a very, very important bill. To the extent that we still have a residue of these concerns, a residue of these fears. I want to plead, Mr. President, that this bill not be killed here. It should be allowed to go for public hearing, so that whatever concerns that St. Olujimi and others were not able to address in the course of their consultation could be addressed in the course of that public hearing. Mr. President, this Senate, especially the ninth Senate, we've gone on record as the most friendly to the opposite gender. And Mr. President, if I may just recall a few days ago, about a couple of days ago, I think you were given an award for a he for she, by the female gender presented to you, I believe, by the Minister of Women Affairs. Mr. President, the Nigerian women folk, they are looking up to us. Our daughters, our wives, they are looking up to us. That this bill must not die a second time. So I'm appealing, Mr. President, that this bill should not die under your leadership, Mr. President. Today, it should be allowed to go to public hearing, so whatever concerns, genuine as they are, and nobody is playing down on how genuine they are, those concerns be addressed during public hearing, and then they come back before us, so we can have be properly guided, in consideration of whatever report is sent to us. So once again, Mr. President, on record, I'm in support of this bill. Thank you very much.
Well, let me make some comments here. First of all, I don't kill bills or I don't give them life. Bills are given life by distinguished senators if they agree with it. And bills sometimes suffer injuries when there is no serious agreement or understanding. And bills die when there is an overwhelming objection. What I will advise, even before you go for public hearing, let's address the concerns of our colleagues here. Because if some of our colleagues are saying this is the way they think we should go, and it doesn't reduce anything from the bill, then I will advise that we toe that line. But if we feel, well, it has to remain the way it is and it should pass, I'm not sure if that will be the best approach to it. But this, I will invite the sponsor of the bill. She has listened to the debate so far, and maybe she has something to clarify and throw some light on. Distinguished Senator Abiodun Olujimi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I believe there is no problem with the bill as it is. The only problem that has been addressed by the two senators is the title of the bill. I said yesterday, Mr. President, that the Sultanate arranged an outreach where every of the Muslim clerics, including the Murik chairman, were present, and they gave a bill of clean health to, they gave a clean health to the bill. And we have also done that with the Christian clerics, and they've also given it a clean bill of health. However, if the problem is the title, equal opportunities, that they do not want, then we can change the title and make it Gender Equity Bill. Gender Equity Bill, rather than the Gender and Equal Opportunities Bill, which is offensive to them.
think the sponsor of the bill, the sponsor of the bill, Senator Olujumi, has moved towards addressing the concerns of colleagues. I listened to Senator Yusuf objecting to the bill the way it is captured, and equally Senator Wamako. If that addresses their concerns, I think that should be fine. But I want to say one thing here. It's good to make efforts to reach out to people, stakeholders outside. But when the bill comes here, the clean bill of health somebody outside gives to it does not make it healthy enough when it comes to the floor. Because senators may be informed by so many other, their decisions could be informed by so many other considerations. So I believe that what we need to do is to come to an understanding of how this bill can be accepted as all the interests are addressed. So I will put the question. Does that satisfy Senator Yusuf?
Thank you, Mr. President. Although we have not seen the main body of the bill, yes, we are just, working on the
I didn't hear you.
We have not seen the body of the bill, or the draft bill. Ordinarily, we should have seen it. However, we do not want the title to be in conflict with what is coming inside. So probably the best thing to do, either we step it down until the draft bill is presented to us before it goes to, because Mr. Chairman, Mr. President, we know that every bill before it goes to public hearing, we will have the draft bill available. We do not have the draft bill before us. I don't want just to change the title only to conflict with the body. Yes. So my own suggestion is, let us step down or let her represent it again together with the draft bill.
Please, let's listen to what he's saying.
Whether the bill is consistent with the title. So I don't want us to have the title different and then the draft inside is different. Let it be presented together with the draft bill. Yes. I so move.
Senator Surajuddin Ajibola Basiru.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished Senators of Federal Republic, I'm Dr. Surajuddin Ajibola Basiru. I represent Osun Central Senatorial District. Nigerian Constitution, Section 42, provides for non-discrimination on the ground of gender. And if there's a legislation being proposed that seems to accord in that regard, yes, issues have been raised by two distinguished senators, and I think graciously the sponsor has also expressed willingness to accommodate those concerns. I think the way to go about it is this. Whether the bill pass second reading does not mean that all the letters and sections will be passed at the committee stage or when it comes to the committee of the whole. So it is better to err on the side of constitutionality and also to err on the side of giving benefit of doubt that the eventual outcome will address the challenges that have been raised by the senators that has raised those concerns, and as well as the concern of the sponsor. This is a legislative arm that is not strong by it. I don't think anybody will pass the legislation ultimately without us seeing each sections and provisions. So I want to say, rather than engage this allo chamber in a controversy that people will not even be able to explain what is the basis of it, we should allow the bill to pass second reading. Let at the committee level, let any work and suggestions that anybody make to improve it to be in line with the constitution and any other concern be addressed. That is my humble submission. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. President, my highly respected colleagues. James Ebiowo, Manager, CON Delta South. Mr. President, I would have liked to go through the debate, contributing about the merits and demerits of the bill. But where we are now is about the process, the procedure. Concerns have been raised about the title of the bill. And correctly, the sponsor of this bill has amended the title to suit the purpose of those who raised objections. Mr. President, my humble view is that bill lawmaking is a process. It takes a very long process for law to get matured and then for it to become an act of parliament. This is just one step out of the lot. This is second reading. And since the sponsor of the bill has obliged to amend, and that she has submitted, and is recorded, that instead of saying gender and equal opportunities bill, she has amended it to read gender equity bill. I think when it comes back, by His grace, this particular bill will be subjected to public scrutiny, and heavyweights from both sides will come and talk about it. And Yusuf talked about the Islamic religion and also the Christian religion. I am not an expert either in the Christian religion or in the Islamic religion, but those experts will be there for the public hearing. Any law that is enacted by Parliament must be implemented. If it becomes difficult for the law to be implemented, then whatever we are doing here will be in vain. Or whatever we have done here will amount to nothing. And therefore, it is better to carry everybody along. I think that is the essence of this public hearing. So where we are now, in my humble view, for me, I want to support the submission of Senator Ajibola for the bill not to be killed this time around at this stage, for the bill to pass through this second reading. And when it has gone through public hearing, and if it comes here, we will look at it, and if the details are not in consonance with the title, they will delete all those areas, will be removed, so that the bill itself, when it eventually becomes an act of parliament, can be implemented nationwide. For me, already there is section 42 of the Constitution talking about non-discrimination, but we live in a society where between man and woman, from the very beginning in the history of the world, God created these two gender, man and woman. But there have been problems between man and woman ever since the creation of the world. I am very surprised because we make up the sensitive people in the society, in the world. But looking at the society itself, it's very clear that in spite of the fact that there is section 42, which is the ground law, talking about non-discrimination, but this discrimination exists at home, in your workplace, everywhere, the discrimination exists. So if this will address it, if it will not offend religious beliefs, so be it. So Mr. President, I want to urge that we allow this bill to pass through the second reading, unlike what it happened the last time when it was killed at this stage. By so doing, then we will have moved one step forward. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay, let me also interject here. I still believe that we should look at getting our house in order. Let's not be emphasizing Murik and stakeholders outside have accepted. Our colleagues here will be the first hurdle. Our colleagues here are the first people we need to convince. What I would suggest is not to ignore, just hold on, not to ignore the concerns raised. And I will advise the sponsor of the bill, Senator Biodo Olujumi, to engage with Senator Yusuf, who raised these issues. Just hold on. You have a right to say no. You have a right to say no. I'm just looking for a way out for us. Because if at this point we are divided, this bill is not likely to survive it even outside. But once we are able to understand ourselves, and what is wrong in engagement? What is wrong in engaging our colleagues? But if you feel you don't need to engage anyone, it's okay. Yeah, Senator Olujumi.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. The bill is not about me. It's not about anybody. It's about Nigeria. It's about our future. It's about our children. It's about tomorrow. So, if we pass the bill, it is to our credit that we're making tomorrow better for 60% of the population. What we have done is that we have gotten people who they will understand to engage them. I am sorry to say to you, Mr. President, that most of the senators were engaged. Even the Christian senators were engaged. And everybody was made to understand. In fact, we got a Professor Mustafa who reduced everything to Quranic verses in the Quran. And it was not until we had finished all of this and put everything together that we came. So, if you still want us to engage after that, it means we will engage for the next 6 months. And then where do we go from here? But the ball is in your court, Your Excellency. Thank you.
No, I think that's not a fair comment. The ball is not in my court. I think the engagement I'm talking about is we lobby ourselves here as parliamentarians. If I have a bill, if someone says he doesn't understand it, there's nothing wrong in talking to that person. So what I'm suggesting is it's not engagement for 6 months. You want this thing to go for second reading, just like suggested by Senator Jones Manager. Okay, it goes for second reading. But instead of waiting until it goes to public hearing before you talk with your senators' colleagues, you can talk with a colleague immediately after this. That's the kind of thing I'm saying, but you are saying 6 months. No, that's not. And you are the sponsor of the bill. You need to make everyone understands, and if possible, everyone queues behind it. Senator Abdullah.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Very distinguished colleagues. I rise to make or enter an intervention on the debate. Mr. President, I want to identify with the contributions made earlier by our colleagues to the effect that this same bill was presented in this hollow chamber in the 8th Senate. And those of us who have survived to be in the 9th Senate will remember vividly what happened to it. There's nothing wrong in representing a bill. But we must be very, very careful. This grandstanding, playing to the gallery, will not pay. I didn't want to make an intervention in the beginning because I believe very strongly that with the advice I discussed with the distinguished Senator Yusuf, that we may be doing ourselves a lot of justice and doing the country for whom we are making these laws a lot of justice if we do some further consultation to take care of those sensitive issues, those emotional issues that would seem to bother some members of this chamber and the outer population of our great country that we are making these laws for. I see nothing wrong in the advice that we are human. This idea of it has to happen or the world will collapse is a fallacy. This country belongs to all of us, male and women. So it will pay a lot of dividend if we concede some ground to one another, to listen better to one another, and seek further advice because of the intricacies of what the bill may entail if we pass it in the form in which it is. It is easy to say, oh, let's go to public hearing. By the time we public hearing, we had this experience sometimes, again, the Senate. They will go and mobilize, all sorts of people in the name of being Nigerians to come there and take the day. Again, grandstanding. Again, playing to the galleries. So I would advise, most sincerely and in my honor, that it will pay us greater dividend, that we seek some advice. All right? This 9th Senate will not end until 2003. I mean, 23. What is the hurry? Let us also ponder for a while. There are things happening here we ignore at the peril of our reputation. Yes, you can have a simple majority, but a bill as fundamental as this one requires, a fuller representation in the Senate. By the time we pass it, Nigeria is speaking here. So let us be very careful, please. Let's have some little room for our, our neighbors, so that we don't vote or take a decision on the basis of this sentiment of the moment. So I advise that my very dear colleague should consider deeply the idea of, withdrawing this bill for now and representing it, after the consultation made. I so said.
Senator Oloremi Tinubu.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. I want to really thank Mr. President today because this is my third term in the Senate, and I believe since the 7th Assembly we've gone this road before, and it's like going round in circle for a long time. But this is the first time I will see that at least some of my colleagues that have spoken today, they were part of it in the 7th Assembly when I came in. Maybe it's been debated before I came in. I don't know. But since I've been here, we've been this road, we've tread this road for too long. But this is the first time I would actually see my colleagues who are interested, that they are interested in this bill. They realize that they have daughters, they have wives, they have mothers, and who would not really want the best for our children. So I want to really thank our colleagues today for debating and wanting to dialogue. Because I believe if we dialogue rightly, we will get to where we are going. And I believe that this is the time and day that this bill will see the light of the day. And it started with the mover of this bill saying that, the sponsor of this bill, saying that she's changing the topic, the title of the bill, to be gender equity. And to me, that is where I've always wanted to support, that we have to be accountable. But if we go back and really rejig this bill and work it the way it's supposed to be worked, so that for coming generations, we are now elderly people in society. And with things happening around us day and night, we don't even know what happens to our children. Even the boys are being abused, the young girls are being abused. But this is the time that we can look at the way we can get, justice for the vulnerable. And
So what are you now suggesting?
What I'm suggesting, that we want to look at it in details. We want to rework whatever that needed to go through. Yes. We are ready to dialogue. That's what I said. We are ready to dialogue, but this is the time and age that this bill has to come to light. So I thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Senator Balai.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. I can understand the position from which the sponsor of this bill is coming from. She went through a lot of work to have this bill reach this stage. Those of us who are in the Senate will vividly remember, and that's why institutional memory is very, very important, that when this bill came in the Senate, it didn't receive the support and the consideration that I find it is receiving today on the floor of this chamber. But you see, it's one thing to work so hard to reach a place. It is another thing to justify the work you have done so far to be able to reach where you are. I have had consultation with distinguished Senator Olujimi on this matter. I do know that she went even to the extent of getting some imams involved in this matter. And it was obvious to her that at the end of it, it has nothing to do with religion. Nothing, absolutely. Because, like she rightly said, one of the imams took his time to go through the law, section by section, and then bring the Quranic verses that support that position. But that is not the case. My own thinking is this: having reached this stage, and some little concerns that have been raised, which can be adequately taken care of, and in view of the fact that distinguished Senator Olujimi is a veteran on the floor of this National Assembly, having traveled all the way from the other side to this side, and consistently convincing her electorates that she is worthy of representing them in this chamber. I know that as a matter of practice, when an advice is coming from that side,
which side?
Distinguished senators, I'm sure you have no doubt about where I'm facing. So when an advice is...
No, there is no side here. The sides are there.
Okay. So, in conclusion, let me say that I adopt what distinguished Senator Remy has said in respect of this bill, and I urge my friend and colleague, distinguished Senator Olujimi, to draw the line of the advice of distinguished Senator Oluremi Tinubu, to which I have adopted, quoted, approved by me, and followed. And I urge my colleagues that we can stand down this thing and then get those who have concern, so that we can explain to them the position of this bill, so that at least let the work that you have done not be thrown away. And this is my advice, and I believe that I say this in good faith. Thank you very much.
Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, I think I have heard from almost all the sides of this debate, and from my own small layman's understanding of the issues, and also having been also in the Senate when this matter came up and did not receive as much debate as is receiving today, I think that's also an advancement on what we have been capable of doing in this 9th Senate. But I think it's better to come to the grips of these issues, really on what is whole thing about lawmaking. lawmaking, to me, my own small understanding, is a process. And what we are doing today in respect of this bill is only a second part of the process. There is still a long way to go. I know an Islamic scholar who was at university done in Bayero University came to me in my office. I have not seen him. Then he sat me down and we went through different sections of the bill, and he was bringing the Quranic injunctions and the hadiths and several to support certain sections of the bill. From what I saw, this particular bill is completely different from the one that we have seen in the 9th and 8th Senate. And I'll be very frank here. Now, Mr. President, it's not an Islamic scholar out there or any conglomeration of NGOs when you invite them, like Senator Adamowa said, or you invite them to public hearing, that makes the laws of this country. The laws of this country are made here. The laws of this country are made here. Whatever anybody is going to say outside there, if we don't have our colleagues to buy into them, it won't go. We are the ones who have the responsibility, who have been elected by Nigerian people to make the laws for this country. Therefore, any nebulous attempt by any one of us who is sponsoring a bill to say that he is not going to consult with members, I mean, we are going on slippery grounds. We are all equal in this chamber. There is nobody here who is bigger than any other person. We are all senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Therefore, if there are certain areas in a particular bill, I think it is incumbent on us who are interested in seeing the bill to convince our colleagues to accept that those provisions are harmless. So for me, I see no problem about consultations. A lot of the issues that some of our colleagues have had about some sections of the bill, maybe, lack of proper information about the content. So I can understand from what Senator Yusuf was saying that they have not seen the bill, they have not seen what it contains. So for me, I think it is important, humbly speaking, it is important, humbly speaking, I would suggest we are the people who are making the laws. Let each one of us have a copy of that revised bill so that we can now go through it, and then when we come for a representation, our own conscience will be very clear, instead of anything going in a process that we don't understand. We have to take responsibility, and we have to be the people who are going to authority. So for me, I think we should give our own colleagues the opportunity to go through the draft of the act even before we go for public hearing. So with due respect to my colleague, Senator Olujimi, I think you are not being belittled by asking you to consult further with colleagues. Because once we have proper consultation and we get this thing, every one of us agreeing yes, you have less problem in all this kind of thing going through. So please let's provide each one of us a copy of the bill, then we present it for a second reading, and we'll solve it. If there is any problem which is not fundamental, we'll resolve it in the process, either at the committee level or at the level of public hearing. So with due respect, Senator Olujimi, you don't lose any face, by going this way, by consulting with wider colleagues so that we can, take an informed position about what is in or outside the bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Well, thank you very much, Leader. I will, at this point, make my final comments and then invite Senator Olujimi to state her final position. And my final comments will be, first of all, like Senator Balana Allah said, in the 8th Senate, the debate did not go this far, and the bill was killed. In this Senate, it's obvious that we want to pass a bill of this nature, but there are concerns. It means we have moved forward. I will advise that we don't kick the can down the road. Nothing is taken away from our desire to pass this bill once we engage. And when we say engage, now there is emphasis on getting the bill given to all of us. Senator Olujimi and any other person that understands that bill well should engage with those of our colleagues that have shown some concerns. I'm sure we are going to arrive at some compromises, and that is how it is. This bill will survive by the grace of God, but let's work for it to survive. And like the leader said, it starts and ends here, not any other person outside. When we go for public hearings, we just want to listen to further advice. But if our colleagues here are against something because they don't understand it, I think we'll be overstretching our luck by saying, no, let's go to public hearing. Because the public hearing is only supposed to enhance what we do here, not to replace it. So this is my position. This bill should survive. We want to pass a bill that can be implemented. I think Senator Johnson just said that in every part of the country without reservation. We don't want this bill to suffer the kind of fate it did in the 8th Assembly. And Senator Olujimi, the sponsor, you have the floor. What is your final position on this?
Much, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. Well, thank God for where we are right now. But let me say this much, sir. About 2-3 months ago, I had circulated copies of the bill. And some people even wrote letters to say they will be co-sponsors of the same bill. I have a list of 62 members of these chambers who say they will co-sponsor it. However, where we are, Mr. President, I believe the way to go is to step it down and see if we can convince the 2 or 3 people who are against certain aspects of the bill, and then we will come back at a later date. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Senator Olujimi, for that understanding. And distinguished colleagues, I want to appeal to all of us. When we receive our copies of the bill, please, let's read it. Where we have definite reservations or misunderstanding or concerns, Senator Olujimi should be alerted so that she explains whatever. And Senator Olujimi, the sponsor, please, if there is anything that we pointed out of serious concern to our colleagues, let's find an accommodation so that when we come back, we should be able to pass the bill. Thank you all. Thank you. Leader of the Senate, next bill. Clerk, get copies to all senators by tomorrow. All senators.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the fifth order of the day is the second reading of the Federal University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Abo, Imo State, Establishment Bill 2021. The two senators will recall that the bill was read the first time in this chamber on Tuesday, 28 September 2021. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the two senator Anayo Roches Okorocha to move the motion for the bill to be read.
Distinguished Senator Anayo Roches Okorocha, former governor of Imo State, Imo West.
Mr. President, thank God you are able to recognize me. During the debate for the women's something, I raised my two hands up and you...
No, I didn't see you. In fact, I was looking at your direction. I didn't see you.
Mr. President, I can understand the powers of a Senate President. You recognize what you want to recognize and see what you want to see. Mr. President, sir, distinguished colleagues, lead debates. I rise to lead this debate on the Federal University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Abokbala, Imo State, 2021 SB 783. Mr. President, my revered distinguished colleagues, permit me to lead the debate on the bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Abokbala, Imo State. The bill was read for the first time in these hallowed chambers on Tuesday, 28 September 2021. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this bill is a bold step towards not only addressing the educational needs of the populace, but it will also serve as a training ground for the development of agriculturists and environmentalists in the country. Agriculture with its allied sectors is unquestionably the largest livelihood provider, more also in the rural areas, and can contribute significantly to the gross domestic product. Demand for agricultural product is rising rapidly with increase in population with its attendant repercussion on the environment. The university will provide the holistic development of agriculture and environmental education, knowledge skills, and telescopic vision on future that will help them contribute to accelerate agricultural growth rates, enhance farmers' income, and generate employment in the sector. This will give the students a platform to enable the country to achieve self-sufficiency in food, reduce poverty, and bring economic transformation to millions of rural families without adversely harming the environment. The objective for which the university, when established, will, among others, to encourage the advancement of learning and to hold out to all persons without distinction of race, creed, sex, or political conviction, to develop and offer academic and professional programs leading to the award of certificates, first degrees, postgraduate research, diploma, and higher degrees, with emphasis on planning, developmental, adaptive skill in agriculture and environmental discipline. To produce socially matured agriculturists with capacity not only to understand the agricultural need of Nigeria as a nation, but also to exploit existing agro-infrastructure and improve on it to develop new ones. D, to undertake any other activities that is appropriate for University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences of the highest standard. One noticeable feature is the development of universities in Nigeria is the emergence of specialized universities. Most of these focus on science, technology, and environmental science, hence the need to establish the University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences, Akure, Imo State, to increase the number of agricultural universities. This will help the back-to-land policy of the federal government to ensure the diversification of our national economy. Agriculture is key, and the driver of this, to me, are products from the universities of agriculture. I therefore, Mr. President, advocate for the establishment of more universities of agriculture across the country. In line with our Order 773, the compendium of financial implication is hereby attached. It is in view of this and many more valid points that cannot be exhausted in this short debate that I urge you, Mr. President, and my very dear distinguished colleagues to please support this bill and recommend its accelerated passage. Thank you.
Distinguished Senator Ibezim Frank.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues. I rise to support this bill, ably moved by distinguished Senator Anayo Chasokorache. I actually know that agriculture, being able to come back as the mainstay of our economy, will reduce the challenges of unemployment amongst our young people. And I believe that if it takes establishing Federal University of Agriculture in every senatorial district, it would, in no small measure, help in facilitating the opportunities of employment and curb youth restiveness in our society. There is no time. This is actually the time. It is apt. And I urge every distinguished senator here to please support this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Is there anybody against the bill? Distinguished colleagues, those in favor that this bill be now read a second time, say aye. Those against, say nay. The ayes have it. Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences Abo, Imo State, and for other matters connected thereto, 2021, SB 783, second reading.
A bill for an act to provide for the establishment of the Federal University of Agriculture and Environmental Sciences Abo, Imo State, and for other matters connected thereto, 2021, second reading taken, and the bill is referred to the Committee on Tertiary Education and Third Fund to report back within 4 weeks. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the sixth order of the day is the consideration of the report of the Committee on Communications and Universal Service on the Universal Service Provision Fund budget proposal for the year ending 31st December 2022. Mr. President, you may wish to invite distinguished Senator Oluremi Shade Tinubu to move the motion for the Senate to consider and approve the report. If you don't mind, Mr. President, the following order, the seventh, is also a similar one by distinguished Senator Tinubu. Consideration of the report of the Committee on Communications of the Nigerian Communication Commission budget proposal for the year 31st December 2022.
Okay. Distinguished Senator Oluremi Shade Tinubu, Lagos Central.
Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to present the report of the Committee on Communication on the Universal Service Provision Fund, USPF budget proposal for the year ending 31st December 2022. And at the same time, I will present that of NCC just simultaneously when I am done with the first one. Mr. President, distinguished senators, I wish to present this report on the year 2022 budget proposals of the Universal Service Provision Fund, USPF, as referred to the Senate Committee on Communications. In line with one of the objectives of the telecommunications policy of the federal government, namely to ensure that public telecommunications facilities are accessible to all communities in the country. The USPF, in consonance with its mandate, builds partnerships with and provides grant funds and subsidies to interested organizations to extend communication facilities to those unserved and undeserved groups, build their capacity and empower them digitally. Universal Service Provision Fund 2022 Budget Summary. In compliance with Section 114 subsection 1 and Section 2A of the Nigerian Communications Act 2003, the receipts and payments account for the period ending 31st December 2022 shows budgeted income of 8.8 billion. The fund's expenditure profile shows its total recurrent expenditure as 1.9 billion. Total capital is 357 million naira, while total project and programs expenditure is 6.5 million naira respectively. Okay. So I'm going to skip the summary, which we all have, and then move on to the findings. We have the summary framework of the USPF, and I'll move on to findings. The management of the Universal Service Provision Fund, led by its secretary, appeared before the committee to defend the USPF's 2022 budget proposal on Monday, 8th November 2021. And after exhaustive deliberations, the committee observed as follows. The fund's total budgeted revenue for 2022 is 8,824,847,408 naira only. Similarly, the fund's total budgeted expenditure for 2022 is 8,824,847,408 naira only. This consists of Secretariat's recurrent expenditure of 1.9 billion, Secretariat's capital expenditure of 357.9 million naira, and USPF projects and programs at 6.5 billion naira. Recommendations. The summary of 8,824,847,408 naira only is hereby recommended for approval as the Universal Service Provision Fund's budget for the year 2022. My prayer is that the Senate do approve the recommendations of the committee, and I will crave the indulgence of the Senate to move on to the NCC one, which I would hereby start. The President, distinguished senators, I wish to present this report on the year 2022 budget proposal of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, as referred to the Senate Committee on Communications. The Nigerian Communication Commission is the regulatory authority of the telecommunications industry in Nigeria, established by the Nigerian Communication Act 2003. The Commission is responsible for creating an enabling environment for competition amongst operators in the telecommunications industry, as well as ensuring the provision of qualitative and efficient telecommunications services in the country. The Nigerian NCC budget proposal for the year 2022. In accordance with Section 19, subsection 1 of the NCC Act of 2003 and Section 21 Schedule of the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007, the Nigerian Communication Commission submitted a projected income of 633.3 billion naira, out of which recurrent expenditure is the sum of 82.2 billion naira and capital expenditure in the sum of 30.3 billion naira. The sum of 42.4 billion naira is the special project, while the sum of 7.5 billion naira will be transferred to the Universal Service Provision Fund, USPF. The sum of 466.8 billion will be transferred to the federal government of Nigeria. So we have the summary of framework of the NCC budget proposal, which is stated here. You have a copy. I'll move on to findings. The management of the Nigerian Communication Commission, led by its Executive Vice Chairman Professor Dambata, appeared before the committee on Monday, 8th November 2021, to defend the Commission's budget proposal for the year 2022, and after exhaustive deliberations, the committee observed as follows. 1. The Commission's revenue of 633.3 billion naira consists of the annual licensing fee of 1.5 billion naira, annual operating levy of 124 billion naira, spectrum fees of 450.2 billion naira, numbering plan 9.5 billion naira, administrative charges 4.4 billion naira, type approval fees 902 million naira, sanction fees 165 million naira, sundry income 5 million naira, federal government intervention for broadband infrastructure 41.6 billion naira, and transfer from reserve 1 billion naira. 2. The Commission's total expenditure of 633.3 billion naira consists of total recurrent expenditure of 86.2 billion naira, total capital expenditure 30.3 billion naira, total special projects 42.4 billion naira, transfer to the federal government 466.8 billion naira, and transfer to the Universal Service Provision Fund USPF 7.5 billion naira. 3. The Commission's total budgeted revenue and total budgeted expenditure for the year 2022 remain the same as 633.3 billion naira. Recommendation: the sum of 633,393,283,000 naira only is hereby recommended for approval as the NCC budget for the year 2022. Our prayer is that the Senate do approve the recommendation of the committee. I so move, Mr. President. Thank you.
Any comments on the two reports? We'll go to the recommendations then. We'll start with report on the Nigerian Communications Commission, right? That's the first one. Oh, PSPF. Okay. So we go to page 3 where the recommendations are, because we passed the recommendations here. The recommendations of the committee on this is that the sum of 8,824,847,408 naira only is hereby recommended for approval as the Universal Service Provision Fund's budget for the year 2022. Those in favor of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The next is the budget for the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, and the recommendation is on page 4. Page 4. The recommendation is the sum of 633 billion. The sum of 633 billion 393,283,000 naira only is hereby recommended for approval as the Nigerian Communications Commission's budget for the year 2022. Those in favor of this recommendation say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Leader of the Senate.
Ndume, stop disturbing the leader. Mr. President, my highly respected and distinguished colleagues, the eighth order of the day is the presentation and consideration of the report of the Committee on Local and Foreign Debt